You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 107, Gods of Brutality, an interview with Mark Welser and Rich Woodall.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that pee-pee poo-poo out the butt. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
We are
and
here.
I'm Rich Woodall.
Hey, Rich. Wait.
I'm sorry.
That impression missed its mark.
And we are here once again with another episode of the Savage FINcast, the internet's only, as far as I know, podcast dedicated to the works of Eric Larson and his creation, Savage Dragon. We got a very special episode lined up. We have a couple of Savage Dragon loving knuckleheads who are making their own comics out in the real world, and we're going to talk to them about their experiences with Savage Dragon and all the cool comic stuff they are getting up to these days.
So we have a couple of guest creators on the show today here to promote an awesome new comic that I'm pretty damn excited about called GODS of Brutality. These guys, one of the guys listeners will remember is Rich Woodall, who was last on to promote his Johnny Raygun and Savage Dragon crossover, which is he has since gone on to draw the Thor Mickey backup in Savage Dragon 250. But outside of the world of Savage Dragon, I think Rich has been pretty busy as the co-publisher of Black Caravan, which is an imprint of Scout Comics, which has been getting super popular. And he's released a bunch of fan favorites, such as Electric Black and The Phantom Starkiller through that imprint. Also, a guy that we've been trying to get on the show for a while, Mark Welser, who's probably one of the original Savage Dragon superfans, Brotherhood of the Fin member, which I'm going to get into a little later. He ran one of the first Savage Dragon fan sites. I think he wrote pretty much a good portion of the Savage Dragon Companion, which was released in 2002. And he's just an all-around awesome artist. Listeners can check out his fantastic Brute Force backup in Savage Dragon 208. So welcome to the show, guys. I don't know if I screwed up anything. You can feel free to correct me on any of that.
No, that all sounds awesome. Thank you. At least on my...
Well, Rich, I know you have like 20 different backups in Savage Dragon, all different points, but
yeah, let's list
too
them
many
all.
to list at this point. But so before we get into Gods of Brutality, I know myself and the other hosts want to hit you guys up on some of your thoughts about Savage Dragon, since we are a Savage Dragon podcast, and I think you two guys have some of the deepest ties to it, going back to the beginning. So
Yeah, to give it any perspective at all, like literally when I got goddamn dial-up internet, I jumped online and I was like, cool, let's see if I can find Savage Dragon shit, and I found the Brotherhood of the Fin. Was like top result, like, and there's this GeoCities webpage with all the shit, and I'm like, goddamn right, this is so cool. I don't know, it's awesome. Just saying.
Give us a little.
That website was really good. Sorry, what?
What was the for the listeners, Brotherhood of the Fin? I mean, you see it all in the letters pages, the BOTF. I know a little bit about it, but as a guy that was kind of in the thick of it, can you tell us a little bit about what that was all about?
Yeah, I don't know if I know all the history. I'll try my best. I have a terrible memory. Back in the 1950s, when everybody got online to do Savage Dragon, there was an email listserv, which which was the FAO, the Fanatics Online.
Right.
They ran it pretty tight and kept it like they tried to keep it PG, tried to keep all the emails on topic about Savage Dragon. And there was a bunch of us that met each other through the Savage Forum, which was on the main Savage Dragon website, the message boards.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that a lot of the times we don't want to talk about Savage Dragon. And
Right.
we were all in our like late teens, early 20s, and we all wanted to be very rude and vulgar online, which we could not do on the FAO. So we started our own group where we had fewer rules and restrictions so that we could... the dragon hardly ever came up in the Brotherhood of the Fin listserv emails that we were doing. And then at a certain point, I don't remember whose idea it was, but Joe Schuler decided to put up a website, and then Gavin
Right.
was writing all the bios and issue summaries and stuff for that.
That sounds like something
And,
Gavin would do.
Oh yeah, it was great. Well, I when I first started going online, there weren't a lot of Savage Dragon super fans. Like I felt like I was number one. I was top dog.
Yeah.
And this kid Gavin shows up, and I'm like, all right, well, just tell me. Here's your crown, Gavin. I guess.
I just remember, I was into Dragon probably up until like the mid-teens or issue 20, and then I kind of jumped out, went to college, and I got back in right before like the Savage world, maybe a little earlier. I started picking up issues. I'm like, oh, I want to collect this again, and then I was like, getting online and being like, wow, there's this whole like group of Brotherhood of the Fin, and you guys had all your inside jokes and
Many inside jokes. Yeah.
Seemed like you were a pretty tight knit community and a bunch of like it was a lot of vulgar shit and just kind of like just a lot of fun, like just bullshitting and whatnot. But I know you guys had like you were making your own comics and stuff like that, right? I mean, doing little like fanfic kind of.
Not a lot of Savage. I think we tried to start a comic book about Savage Dragon where one creator would do a couple pages and someone would take up the next couple pages and just continue the story and just run with it. The problem with that was I was the first one that was supposed to do the first couple pages and I never finished them.
The classic error.
Right.
Where did the whole like signing off on all like the fan letters with the Brotherhood of the Fin sign off? I mean, you guys kind of got real into it. Where did that come about from?
I don't remember. I think probably started on the message boards. I think some people were posting, and then when they'd sign their name, they'd put FAO.
Right, and then
we were like these assholes. So we're like, the BOTF. It was like this weird rivalry, but we were also part of both listservs at the same time. So I don't know. It was ridiculous.
That sounds like something teenagers would do.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of bad jokes in those messages. Just shock humor.
Like, just like you see the pinups in the middle of the issue of Savage Dragon, and there's all the graffiti written on the wall, and then there's like it says Gavin BOTF. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, BOTF? What the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah, a lot of us, when we were writing in letters, and we just sign them, all our letters BOTF. And I'm sure most people had no idea what that was.
I mean, that's the whole idea. You were a secret club with a secret handshake. Keeping the wisdom of the ages.
And you guys met a bunch of times at like Chicago Comic-Con and stuff like that. I've seen those pictures and stuff like that. I mean, one of the cool things I think about that is I wonder now, is like Eric one of the last generation of artists to have like teenage fans that kind of, you know what I mean? Like you see the pictures of like Kirby and Sheldorf and all the kids that like hung out with him, and then you see like I see always that picture from the Chicago Con where you guys are at like is it Dick's Last Resort or something like that, and you're all hanging around the table with Eric. It's like, man, those are some cool times. I don't think that happens much these days anymore.
Brian Lee O'Malley, dude.
We all got to meet each other. Most of us for the first time. Which is always weird because you've got these voices in your head of these people that you've been talking to online for a couple of years at that point, and then you meet them, you're like, oh, you sound like a dork.
Or you're a real asshole in real life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Mark looks like Castro in real life.
Yes, he does.
He looks just like Castro. When I saw him, he's like, "Welcome to Erie." I was like, "What is this? What is this Fidel Castro cosplay?"
Because of my hat?
Yeah, dude, and the beard.
The beard, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the beard's to hide my ugly face.
And you sent those boatloads of crazy people.
Yeah, well, that's true. I guess in a lot of ways, me and Castro are a lot alike.
Pretty much.
Did both of you guys start off at Savage Dragon 1? Were you guys a Larson fan like before Dragon?
Yeah, what probably 89 he started doing Spider-Man.
Right, yeah.
Somewhere around there, 89, 90. And I was always into the Todd stuff for Spider-Man. That was all cool. And then Larson took over, and I remember I was probably angry at first because Todd was amazing, and you got a guy replacing him. And but then I quickly loved what Eric was doing. It was similar but more dynamic. And then yeah, I just follow. I mean, all the Image guys. I was so excited. All those guys, I was super into when they were at Marvel, and when they left, I was super excited that they were doing their own thing. And yeah, I jumped on Savage 1 and was hooked from there. That was one. Even if I moved town to town, there was a short period of time where I wasn't picking up comics, but I would kind of search out and get Savage no matter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a lot of people in our age group. Image was first coming around, was
yeah.
At that point where they had to pick up everything because those guys were at the top of the game. Was that the same for you, Mark?
No. I'm a little younger, so I got into comics late. I think it was when Todd McFarlane was doing his thing, and the Marvel cards, the trading cards, came out.
Right.
And that was my introduction to most of these characters and comic books and stuff. So I get those, and then I go and see whatever Spider-Man comics I could find, and Eric was drawing them. So I'd pick them up, and I was in probably 5th grade at the time, so I was young. I was 10, I think, when Image started up. I'd see these ads in Advance Comics, which is basically the previews.
Yeah.
And all these Savage Dragon ads, and I saw just these huge fists. Is what drew me to it. I'm like, these are the biggest hands I've ever seen. I'm going to get onto this. But my older brother would read comics. I was too young to have money or responsibilities, so my older brother would read comics, and I would just read his. And then he got Savage Dragon, the miniseries, and issues 1 and 2 of the regular series, and then he went to college and stopped buying comics. So then I just didn't have comics for a while. And then when I got older, I was in a comic shop. I was in high school, I think. I was like, I got $5. Let's see what I can buy.
I could buy dozens of comics for that much in 1990.
Right.
Something.
And I saw Savage Dragon 28 was out at the time. So I was like, it's got Max and Savage Dragon. Those are 2 books that I liked. I'm going to get this. And I had $1 extra, and those 99-cent reprints were out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Dragon
I got
one.
$1. I'll get the Dragon number 2. I didn't know it was a reprint. It's it's a $1 Dragon book. I got it home. I already have this. Dragon 28, I had no idea what was going on, but I loved the art. It was a lot different.
Yeah, that was probably a really confusing issue to restart on.
Damn.
It was, and then I was like, I got to get the older stuff, so I went and got 27. And I read that, and I'm like, it's still not quite sure what's going on. I got 26, I got 25 and 24. I'm like, maybe I should just start with like 3.
Where you left
all
off.
the gaps, right? And then I've just been reading it since.
Mark, it's kind of crazy to hear that you got started on Dragon like a little like start stop later like that, because artistically, man, I feel like Eric's work is like in your DNA.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty much the only book that I was reading when I started getting serious about trying to draw better. It was pretty much just Savage Dragon and whatever Savage Dragon related titles were coming out. So I kind of learned to draw by reading Dragon. I mean, I drew stuff before, but it was terrible. It was like little kid shit. But that's when I was like, I want to draw these hands. I want to draw these weird arms. This is the kind of art that I like, so that's the kind of art that I want to see more of. So I'll try to do it.
So you weren't buying like the Spawn and the Youngbloods and stuff that didn't interest you at that time, or was it already kind of lost steam by like issue 28 of Dragon? It's hard for me to remember. I mean, because I feel like I was only in for like the first few years of Image before I went to college and jumped out.
Yeah, my brother had Spawn, and I think he had up to like 23 or something. Somewhere in whenever Capullo took over.
Yeah, that
so
seems
I
to
only
be
had
the
access
breakout point.
to like my brother's comics. And then when I came back, I'm like, I'm not super interested in Spawn or Shadowhawk or whatever the hell else is being printed at the time. Prophet was big. I don't remember. I think Stephen Platt was happening around that time, but nothing else looked good.
Right.
Accurate assessment.
You were not wrong.
Right?
Yeah, I wasn't there.
So-
I was still reading Fantastic Four at Marvel and trying to get any comics to get my hands on, so I missed all that.
No.
Rich, you were there from pretty much the beginning. Were you on the boards as well? I remember you on the boards when I got on. Like I said, that was like before the Savage World, when I want to say like this issue 70s. I remember, you being a strong presence on the board, but I don't remember you being like in the Brotherhood of the Fin or anything like that.
I don't think I was in the Brotherhood of the Fin. The early days of the internet are very much a blur for me, because I remember in like 94 I got AOL, and there was like chat room about comics, and oh crap, I'm not gonna remember her name. Trish something. She was a colorist for DC. She's still a colorist for DC. Can't remember her name, but like she was the only pro on this little weird comic message board on AOL. And then there was a giant gap of probably like 2 years that I wasn't on the internet at all, because I probably didn't have a computer at home. And I remember probably close to, I don't know, 98, something like that, like getting on the message boards, the image message boards, but I don't remember a whole lot of it. I remember that was pretty much the only message board I would go. There was a message board called Outcast Studios that I used to be part of, and I was heavy onto that and the image boards, and that was really it. Internet browsing at that point.
So I guess I'm bouncing all around, but while I'm thinking of it, I wanted to ask you, Rich, about the character Mickey. We never got to talk to you, I don't think, after 250 came out,
right.
and I know you did that awesome backup. Did you design the Mickey character, or did Larson give you like a design character to work with?
No, he pretty much. Now I'm trying to remember. He didn't give me a sketch or anything. I actually have somewhere. I drew it on the back of like one of my sequential pages. Like I did a couple sketches of him, and I sent it over to Eric. And I think the only thing he told me was like make sure he had the little orphan Annie eyes.
Right.
And I think he like wrote a description in the plot that he sent me. And it was very much like make him look like his mother. The one thing he did say was give him a diaper that kind of looks like Kamandi. So, so that and he had a collar, and like that was literally the only thing he gave me. So I think I put the gap between his teeth. so he would, have a little bit of his mom and a little bit of his dad in there. But yeah, I think I did the sketch for him and sent it over to Eric, and Eric gave it the blessing.
How did you feel? How did you feel about him getting his head blown off?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, well, that didn't last very long.
That's what I was kind of getting at. Do you think Eric just kind of wasted him because he's like, well, I didn't create that character. I don't really want him in my book too long.
He was so unhappy with how he looked that he had to get rid of him.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was going for. But I mean, you know how like particular Eric is, like, Covenant of the Sword. I didn't develop those guys. They can't stick around. Whatever it is. But yeah, I wonder if that played a role.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean,
technically, Eric created Mickey because we saw him as a baby.
Sure,
right.
Sure. I mean, the design is what I guess I'm saying, but
yeah, I know nobody's safe in Savage Dragon, so it didn't totally shock me. Right. But yeah, no, it's for anybody that's worked with Eric, it's a lot of fun, and he was very nice to me while I worked on it. He was complimentary for the first time. Like, when I was doing the Savage Dragon Johnny Ray Gun thing, I didn't get a lot of feedback, but it wasn't really something he was involved with, outside of the initial pitch, which he rejected the very first one and approved the second pitch that we had done. But he wasn't super involved in that. So, like, working with him with this was kind of cool because it was the first time I got to go back and forth with him a little bit.
How did that come about? Did you approach him to ask him like if he had like space in 250, or did he come to you? Or
yeah, I saw that a couple people were like, I'm going to do a backup, or maybe he had announced that so and so was going to do a backup or whatever, and I kind of sheepishly I figured after the Savage Dragon Johnny Ray Gun thing he would never let me do anything again. But yeah, so I think I sent him an email, and he's like, "Yeah, what do you want to draw?" And like, oh man, I love the God characters. Like, I would love to do a story with the gods. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll get you something over in a couple days." And sure enough, like, I get a page kind of breakdown of the old Marvel style, kind of what the script was and everything. So I didn't know what any of the dialogue was or anything until I actually read the. Well, no, he sent me a preview after it was. So that was really cool. But he was very nice to me. He said he liked it, which he had never done before. So that was it was pretty awesome. It was very, very cool.
I remember he heaped some praise on it on the FINcast too, which was cool.
Yeah.
And I forget, did Nikos color that, or was it Mark Englert?
Nikos. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So that was awesome too. It was, and it was beautifully lettered, like everything about it. I was so excited to see that in print. It's in its final version.
Yeah, that came out really good.
Farron Delgado's lettering is amazing.
Yeah.
For all the digital stuff he does, he just makes it look so sweet.
It's cool to be part of like that like special kind of anniversary, like oversized issue anyway too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, is like I was just excited to have a little part in that. And again, having him be gracious enough to let me work on it again felt really, really cool. Because when Matt Talbot and I were doing like backups and pinups and stuff for Savage Dragon, like we would pitch him every once in a while, and not all of them worked out really well. So it was definitely cool to jump back in that pool again.
Did you guys pitch stuff that he turned down?
Oh yeah. I think
backups,
Yeah. I think he turned down probably 2 backups that we had done, or that we had pitched. One of them, we were at San Diego, and Matt and I, in between the Johnny Ray Gun stuff we were doing, pretty much all we wanted to do was Savage Dragon backup. And so we would like brainstorm about like, what are we going to do next? What are we going to pitch him next? And one of the things we had pitched him was that, like, this is during the family time. So we'd done that back up in, like, 107 with Killcat. So we were still pitching in that, like, when Dragon had the family. We're like, well, Dragon's out with his family at, a park, and he goes to a taco truck, and the taco truck gives him diarrhea, and he goes into... like a porta potty, but the porta potty is a trap, and the scientist takes him, and the scientist milks him.
I told you, Mark. I told you this. You didn't believe
me. The scientist milks him, and makes all these Savage Dragon babies in like tubes, right? And so Matt and I, like, I think I had penciled out part of the, like, a pinup or something for that, and it's Dragon. Like, Dragon's on this he's like hooked up to a machine, and it's just milking him, and he's got this angry face on, and the scientist is in the front, and he's got this little vial of dragon sperm, and in the background are all these huge tanks with little floating dragon babies. And we took it over to Eric, and I remember just seeing his face was just, he put his hand over the dragon's crotch, and he's like, guys, this is a family book. Which, looking back on that now, is kind of hilarious, but yeah, that was one that got rejected.
That's my favorite part of the story. My favorite part is that it was during the family era.
Yes, exactly. So long ago.
I was talking to Mark about that the other day and trying to explain that story to him from what I remembered you telling me. And I had bits and pieces, but I was just dying thinking about that.
If I can ever dig up the art, I'm pretty sure I still have it somewhere. It's still half finished somewhere. I'll
actually, it would fit with the comic now.
Oh, yeah, you ought to pitch it again.
Exactly. I'll just have to change the fin.
Yeah, dude.
Well, that's funny because when we, Gavin and I did the Brute Force backup, I drew Earth Girl, and every time Eric drew her, he had her nipples kind of poking out underneath, and I drew them with the nipples, but Eric was like, I think this is going a little too far. So we had to erase the nipples out of every panel that she was in, and now there's so many nipples.
Well, it's funny
because let us had our nipples.
It's funny because, like, that's the thing is that, like, there was that long period where, like, you know, I mean, he was a lot more buttoned down. They had the whole, like, falling out with Mario Goli.
I bet his kids were younger then.
Yeah,
I was just trying to draw her on model. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's one of her defining traits, Mark. Like, right. I think, like, if you drew her without it, it'd kind of be like, well, who is this now?
I tried.
Yeah. Well, do you
remember?
remember?
Want it on the record now that I tried.
Like, we got an issue of the Savage Dragon we're going to be reviewing for a retro in the near future, and it's got, like, a image of Rapture, like, really iconic image with her nipples, like, really prominent.
Yeah. The waterbed, right?
No, this was just her.
No, the one with the shirt with the giant pepperonis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. There seem to be nipples in, like, every issue for forever.
Was that 10?
Yeah, it's like 10. I think it's in 10. I think 10 we're doing next. Yeah, the Jimbo issue. I'm pretty sure it's in the Jimbo issue.
To be specific, though, guys, nerds.
Areola?
What do you mean?
Nipples erect right through shirts.
Oh, is that the...
Ooh.
Just learned something new today.
Did not know
Those
that.
are called nerds?
Mm-hmm. Not what Earth Girl has. If you can see it, it's not visible through a shirt. That's a whole nother nipple. That's a nipple of a different color.
Oh, you mean... Oh, because on Earth Girl, they poked up out of the top of her top, right?
Yeah, you had some underboob
back. Half shirt.
No, yeah. They were underneath, yeah. Her shirt didn't quite cover them. So they're peeking out.
Always be like some dirt.
What do you fellas think about that change? Like, we always just sort of like, well, that's funny. But I'm saying it's kind of like the change is there, and now he's kind of dialed it back, but also he hasn't. Like, how you feeling about that?
Well, if Savage Dragon is anything, it's a book of change.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, Mark and I were talking about that a couple days ago, and talking about how if you don't like this storyline, like wait 5-6 issues and you'll get something totally different. And I mean that's one of the things that I loved about Savage Dragon from once you kind of realize it early on, from him going from his cop phase to like the SOS or whatever, and you're like, oh, this book is not going to be the same, and that's one of the things I love about it. I know that in 20 issues, you have no clue what kind of situation.
How are you feeling? How you feeling about like the change? Like, I mean, I guess what I'm really stabbing at here is that of course we had the goddamn Game Grumps, like Savage Dragon's poor now, and it actually literally got addressed in the book, and it's just like, well,
people remember that, Raven?
Oh yeah. You know what? Worth telling.
Tell us that
since
story.
You're here. Since you're here, and I'll let you tell it.
No, it's good. You can do it.
All right, you gotta tell it better.
Me and Mark were sitting at this convention, feeling good. He's got his like super pro spread, and we're just hanging out and like just clowning around, doodling and shit. And like Mark's got his Savage Dragons that his backup was in, and along comes this plump youngin, definitely in the teen to tween age. And she's like, "Oh, what was a Savage Dragon? Cool." And Mark's like, "Yeah, I did." We're both shocked. We're like, "You like Savage Dragon? Neat." We're like, "Yeah." Mark's like, "Yeah, I did a backup in this. It's pretty cool. You can check it out and all this stuff, whatever." She's like, "Nah, I just am interested in it because I heard it was porn now."
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, "First of all, you little bitch." They're like, "Sir, quit yelling in the library." Sorry. First of all, you little bitch.
There it was.
Yeah,
I'm the same way with Rich, though. It's like if you don't like something about Dragon, just wait, and it'll be different.
Yeah.
He'll get.
That's the thing. We call it Eric's boredom. Like, he'll get bored, he'll move on, he'll do something else. Did you ever think you were going to get Walter?
I mean,
no, I really like that Walter issue.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I hope they go off on like a buddy trip, 6 issue. They need a whole trade by themselves.
I think what makes them interesting is it's a dynamic that we haven't really seen in the book before. I mean,
Right.
That's kind of with Mr. Glum, but that was a little bit different.
Well, let's hope that Walter's not banging her in like 10 issues.
I mean, that's my terrible feeling. But I highly doubt we'll see that since Amy is still a child.
This is true, but we might see like future Amy or something in a flash forward.
Which is just kind of sad because, like, you got to think, like, they're saying, "Oh, Walter's got a child's mentality," but like, are these animal men gonna like die sooner than humans? Like,
I mean, I think tigers live like 30 years. I mean, sure, it's fine.
You're saying there's like a 10-year window of banging.
Tigers? Oh,
No, we're not
shit.
saying that at
Oh,
all.
shit. Tigers only live 10 years.
Oh, dude, that's
no.
sad.
It's comics, and he's half human.
So he's definitely got 30 years.
There you go.
So we only have Walter for another couple years before he's going to die then, right?
Oh, I'm sure he'll die for other reasons.
I was gonna say, the way Eric kills people, he's gonna have his head smashed at some point.
Yeah,
Walter's going to be the one to die of natural causes.
Walter and Captain Tootsie will team up and fly directly into the sun or some shit.
Right.
I think I see the direction of the book heading into like that Tom Strong territory. I don't know if you guys read that with how Alan Moore kind of took more of the family approach, and you didn't know each episode might get a different member of the family.
Right.
And I hope as the kids are getting older, that's what we see. Because I don't know if you guys noticed it. We've talked in the FINcast a lot. It seems like each of the kids are getting their own kind of characterizations or little traits. Amy is kind of the lead now, but each one of them seems to have a little different trait, which I hope he kind of pushes on.
Except for Jack. Jack's just boring white guy.
But that is. Oh, go ahead.
No, sir, go.
I was gonna, that is really exciting to think about. So they're how old now? Like 5, 7, like that.
5 or 7, yes.
So like in like I don't know 8 to 10 years, like all those characters could either have a team or maybe they're in different cities or one of them might be dead or whatever. But like having multiple dragon characters kind of spread out could be really cool.
Absolutely.
Do you guys have a favorite?
I'm going to be honest, guys. I have a hard time remembering who's who.
Oh.
Really?
The kids?
Yeah, I'm terrible. Well, I'm terrible with names, but I don't... for the past, 100 issues or so, I'm not reading these as many times as I used to.
Right.
Like the first 100 or so, I would read them every day. And I would reread them, and then when I was done, I'd read them again. But lately, I read them once or twice, and then I just wait for the next one. So I have a hard time remembering which of the dragon kids are who. I mean, I know Amy.
Of course, she's the good one.
Right.
Then you got Maddie, the lightning one.
Oh, right, there is Maddie.
Tyrone, the smart one.
Jackson. I think it's different for us though, as us doing the FINcast, we're kind of studying this thing before we go.
Yeah, you have to be more on top of it.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but I retain after reading it one time.
Jim has freak show level, he's talking about that fucking JSA shit, and he's like, oh yeah, Clown Shoe Boy from the 40th dimension.
Indeed.
I'm like, what? I'm saying genius memory, dude. I'm proud of you. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't retain anything. I can't remember stuff anymore.
Yeah, I'm with Mark. I don't remember the things that I write for Mark, and then I'll see them in a page, and I'll be like, oh, that's awesome.
You know who's
Which is convenient for me because I sometimes don't draw the things that he writes.
What a team.
So when he sees them, he won't remember that he didn't write it.
A regular Stan Jack.
You know who's crazy memory, it's just astounding to me, is Gavin when it comes to Savage Dragon. The other day I was regular Dragon, did he, I know he kind of did those tall leaps, every once in a while, but every once in a great while. But I was like, Malcolm, he's whenever he travels, he just fucking does Hulk jumps everywhere. I'm like, I texted Gavin, I'm like, do you remember, what issues, the regular Dragon actually did those kind of Hulk jumps? Because I can't find one anywhere. And he was like, I didn't even take time to look it up. He just responded right away.
Well, that was the mini-series he did.
He did that, but in the regular series, he did one where he was I forget who punched him, and he went flying, and then he kind of just jumped back to where he was.
He was fighting Zeke.
It wasn't Big Mummy, was it?
Yeah, it was Zeke. Zeke gave him an uppercut. He goes flying, and then he kind of it's implied that he just jumped back. But there,
36.
God, you too, man. Listen to this guy.
I told you.
I don't retain anything.
Now,
I told you.
I retain details, but I can't remember. I couldn't never tell you an issue number ever.
Yeah.
Those early ones, though, those are in my brain forever.
Yeah,
and I
true.
think that's why I can't remember any new stuff, is because it's all filled with the first 75 issues of Savage Dragon and old commercials.
Yes.
From the 80s.
Absolutely.
That's all I got up there. But I don't know how to do math.
What jingle is in your head the most? From commercials. From your youth.
Crossfire!
Probably the animal. Remember that? I think it was a Tyco remote control.
Oh, was that the claws came out of the wheel?
Tires? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one gets in there a lot.
It's like Tyco Turbo Hoppers and the animal.
Freaking Turbo Hopper. I think it's a jip.
They were pretty crappy. So, what do you guys think of Paul Dragon?
I love him.
Elaborate.
I think he's great.
What do you like about him?
I think that he's... it's nice to see a dragon again, but it's good to see someone that's not... we're not expecting him to be the old dragon.
Right.
But it's good to have that kind of grandfatherly figure. And I like that he doesn't know. He thinks he knows what's going on, but he doesn't know shit because he's got his old graphic fantasy memories.
Never forget,
Right.
Dragon has always been a dipshit.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't
But
think
like
Paul's
even
an
like
asshole.
when Mako shows up, no, he's not an asshole. He seems very well-meaning. He's the stepdad that's trying to get the kids to like him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love
He
his
did
step
show
and
up with
fin.
presents, didn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem
No,
to have
and
that.
plus, because I have no idea what's going to happen with Paul too. I like that about him. Is there's so many different directions that he could take it, and I have no idea where it's going. And that's my favorite thing about Dragon is when I don't have a clue about what's coming next.
Mhm.
What about you, Rich?
I'm still trying to figure out. So this is another thing that Mark and I were talking about. Like, and it's probably because I have such a bad memory. For me, right now, Dragon is so convoluted in its history. Like, I have a hard time keeping up. And so having Paul back kind of adds to that. And every time I read an issue, as much as I enjoy it, I think, man, if a new reader jumped in here, they've got all this like history baggage. And even though like Eric has smashed it all to, all the universes smashed together and stuff, like he keeps referring to these other little weird things that have happened that if you didn't read it before, that you would probably be lost. And I'm lost. And this is from a guy who's read everything only once for most of it. But I get very confused. And, but again, I have a super shitty memory, so that's probably partly on me. But having Paul back, like, I think it's kind of cool. It's interesting. Like, he doesn't have an arm now, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know where it's going either. So I'm here for the ride.
Let me maybe possibly give you an out, or maybe this has nothing to do with it, but
Sure.
you're doing an awful lot. Do you feel sometimes that when you get a head full of your own stuff, it's just hard to retain other shit?
Dude, yeah, I my go-to is if I'm talking to anybody, I'm like, I feel like I've got a head full of like oatmeal.
Yeah.
And I never know what's going on with anything. Like any of the stuff that I'm writing, like before I write an issue for Mark or something, like I'll have to go back and reread everything that I wrote before because I won't have a clue what, like I have a vague memory of what I left off with. And I usually have notes lying around kind of like, this is kind of where I want to go with this and everything. But yeah, between writing Gods of Brutality and Electric Black and a couple other things that I'm working on, yeah, I can't remember.
So Raven, that's a good segue though. Let's talk about Rich, your imprint, the Black Caravan, and how that's related to Scout Comics, and let's get into the new book that you guys are working on, Gods of Brutality. So maybe we can start just for the listeners that don't know anything about Gods of Brutality or your imprint. Maybe give us kind of the quick elevator pitch on those things.
Yeah, so Black Caravan is an imprint that my buddy Joe Schmalke and I came up with. We were doing the Electric Black for Scout Comics, and before we got there, the highest sales I think were around like 4,000 or 5,000 copies for a book, and Electric Black blew that out of the water with like over 9,000 copies.
Wow,
It's over 9,000.
It's awesome.
Exactly. So we were like super pumped, and they pretty much let us do whatever we wanted after that. And we were like 2 or 3 issues in, and Joe and I pitched them on, hey, what if we curated a line of horror and sci-fi comic? Would you guys be up for that? And they gave us the green light. And so we spent most of the pandemic, pretty much since October of 2 years ago, kind of coming up with how we wanted to run this imprint, and since then we're trying to push the envelope on things they'll let us do. We wanted to do magazines. Originally, the Electric Black was supposed to be a magazine, and they said no, and so we ended up doing a magazine now that it's our imprint, and that did okay, and so other books are doing magazines now, and like we decided we're going to do like an artist edition thing. That's something that I always wanted to do, and so our Phantom Starkiller is coming out as like an artist edition type book pretty soon. And Phantom Starkiller is a toy line that Joe had done some art for some blister pack for, and we talked to Peter Gorel, the guy who created Phantom Starkiller, and said, hey, this would be a great comic. Why don't you come on board and we'll develop a comic for you? And now that is the top selling book, and that was almost 20,000 copies, and it's going to its fourth printing.
Nice.
So, like, everything that we do has been super successful. It's been really, really cool. But then we get to look through all this content and find little gems here and there that we want to kind of promote and develop and into a line. And it's also a playground for me to do whatever I want. So one of the first things that I wanted to do was, Mark and I have had this is our third project we worked on together. Like,
I think so. I think it's our third one, yeah.
And this is the first one that's actually gone beyond 5 pages.
2 or 3 pages, yeah.
Yeah. So I can't exactly remember how did I pitch this to you, Mark? Do you remember?
Kinda. Well, it was a couple years
It was
ago.
a couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah. You were like, hey, are you working on any comics? And I said, no. And you said, well, you should. And I had some ideas of stuff that I was going to do on my own. This was, I think, before Scout and all that stuff.
Yeah, probably.
And you're like, if you need help writing it, I will help write it for you. Because you just wanted to see me draw some comics.
I did.
And then every couple months you'd check in, you say, hey, how's your comic doing? I say, oh, yeah, I haven't started it yet. And then you'd check back in, how's your comic doing? I said, I haven't started it yet. And then you checked in and you said, hey, here's 5 ideas for a comic that we should do. Which one of these ideas do you think is good? That I will write and then you will draw. And if you don't like any of those ideas, I'll come back tomorrow with 7 more. And one of them was, I think, Gods of Brutality.
You're a saint.
That's pretty much where it came from, is because I don't know how to write, and Rich wants me to produce stuff. So I think the only time I've ever gotten pages done is when Rich has been kicking me in the ass to get stuff done.
So is Gods of Brutality? Give us a quick pitch on what's behind that, like the story. I mean, we've the hosts have read the preview copies, but just for the listeners out there, what's the quick pitch on that?
You want to give it to him, Rich?
Sure. 80s metal god Nick Dillon dies, goes to hell, prays to be saved from hell, and Odin and Zeus send down Thor and Hercules to save him. And so the entire comic is just going to be those 3 in hell trying to get out of it. And we have several volumes kind of in our heads, but yeah, the first story arc is really focused on just kind of get to know the characters a little bit and explore hell a little.
Just super fun, because your hell is like anything goes. You got people from all different eras, so whether it's people from modern day or barbarians or whatever it is, mixed up with all sorts of fantastic creatures and just absurd things going on, which it's so much fun. That first issue, it blew me away.
Thank you.
people that are fans of Savage Dragon are going to love the artistic aesthetic that Mark brings to it. I mean, we're talking like if you like Kirby or Larson type gods, and you like funny ass kind of dark comics with lots of violence. I mean, this is it. I can't imagine a Savage Dragon fan not enjoying the hell out of this comic. It's just well written, very funny, very exciting. Like I'm so stoked. I mean, for me, I love heavy metal, and so that was right up my alley. I love fantastic comics about gods and just craziness. So,
and that's kind of what knowing Mark, his love of Savage Dragon, my love of Savage Dragon, it was kind of a no-brainer to push it in that back when Savage Dragon had a lot more, well, even now it has like off the wall shit that just kind of happens and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? In the second issue, the opening splash, we have the three Bane characters running at you, and behind them they're just being chased by demons and stuff, and they have all kinds of shit coming at them. And I remember writing on the page description, like, throw a baby in there. And sure enough, like Mark has this baby like flying through the air with arrows and tires and all kinds of other weird shit. But yeah, like I like to write to what the artist wants to draw and kind of form a story around the fun stuff. So every once in a while I'll just ask Mark, what do you want to draw? Do you want to draw a big monster doing blah, blah, blah? Like, what do you want to do? And then I try to write around that.
Yeah, and that's real nice, too, because a lot of writers, they'll come up to you and say, hey, I've got this idea for a comic that I want you to draw. And then you read it and it sucks. And but Rich, he gives me, it makes me feel like I have some kind of say in what's going on, which is very nice of him, even though ultimately I have no input, I think.
Well, I don't know if Mark will be embarrassed by this or not, but I'm going to say it anyway.
All right.
When we first started this, he's like, I don't want to do a lot of talking and like,
Right.
I don't want to do a lot of boring like build up to a story. I just want to do action. And so I'm like,
right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. And then of course the first like 4 or 5 pages is just a boring interview with between like a guy from Rolling Stone and a rock star. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but like I have to set this up. Like there has to be some setup. I promise after this it'll be like cool stuff and action.
There's still some cool stuff in there to draw.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just enough too, because you get through that first issue and it's like you got to build up that backstory. And so I'm like, you see the cover and I'm like, man, like I saw preview pages. This thing's supposed to be like rollicking in hell. And I'm like, all right, he's having this interview and I'm like, oh, man, this is kind of slogging a little bit. And then you turn the page to the double page spread. I mean, you just get that exposition out in the front, get a little background, and then it's just a nonstop ride. And then I hit the end and I'm like, wait a minute, this is it. Like I need more pages now. Like it just leaves you hungry for like the next thing. And all your covers are posted for the first 4 issues. Yeah. And each cover looks better than the next to me. And, I've seen some of the additional preview pages that you posted from 2. There's this one double splash that you posted, Rich, on Facebook. Yeah. Where they're right, like, inside a building or something. The big windows and stuff. It's like one of the best pages I've ever seen Mark draw. Like it was amazing. Yeah. There's so much to look at. It's so much eye candy. It's like, I'm really stoked to see how people react to this, because I mean I had a lot of fun with issue 1 and just the art is blowing me away.
Well, issue 2 is a lot better. It
is. It's even more action.
Yeah, every issue is getting better, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to pitch something, but I mean I'm like a lot of artists. I'm not super happy with my own art. But I feel like every issue it's getting a lot better to look at. There's more stuff going on. One of these days I'll get to read them if Rich will script them. But Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff. The first issue's good, but it gets better. And it's to the point now where I've been living with issue 1 for so long that I hate every single page.
Well, and that's one of the other really cool things is like seeing Mark develop over these 4 issues over the last like year. Like he's doing really cool inking things now that every time he sends me a page, I'm like just studying. Man, he got this really cool effect when he did whatever, you know. So as a fellow artist, I'm loving seeing he's just getting better and better with. And Mark puts so much thought into like the design of the page and everything. It's really, really cool for me as a fan of Mark's work, which is the whole reason I wanted to work with him. Like I was like, I love his stuff so much. Somebody needs to be working with him, and I was the lucky one.
I'm gonna kiss both your asses like crazy here. Because like here's the thing is like me and Jim both have been on this like it's felt like a competition at times just snapping up brand new series. And so I've been reading a lot of number ones. Post Americana, Homesick Pilots, Radiant Black, goddamn
the Kaiju one that came out.
National Anthem. Yeah,
Ultra Mega.
Yes,
yeah.
That's awesome.
And I will say that I feel like this first issue stands right next to Ultra Mega as one of my most favorite fucking number ones that I've read this year.
Oh,
hey, Rich, did you hear that?
I did.
Better than Homesick Pilots.
About us.
Better than Homesick Pilots, which was a critical darling. Like people were losing their goddamn nut over that. And better than like Radiant Black by a goddamn mile.
Yeah, Radiant Black's first issue isn't great as far as first issues go.
Better than Post Americana's first issue. Like
I'm not going to go as far as Raven because I'm an honest person. But I think I think Gods of Brutality's first issue is at least as good as Post Americana. But I hate
that's still high praise.
But Ultra Mega does have the benefit of being double length, so
it does.
It's a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could get James Herron to draw this book for you, Rich, it'd be a lot better.
Well, my first choice.
No, but here's the thing. To tie it in,
I know it was too.
To tie it into the schmooze, though, here's the thing: is like, all right. So, what I'm saying though is that, like, all right, like I've been following this journey, like maybe longer than maybe the only person following this journey longer than me is like you two.
Sure.
Right. My wife.
Because, yeah, okay, there you go, right? But like Mark sends me this thing, and I'm like, God damn, what is this? And he's like, oh, it's Gods of Brutality. And I'm like, what? What the fuck? That name is great, dude. What's going on? And now, mind you that like I had been to this convention. The reason why I went to this convention was because Mark, he was like, hey, come up, do this comic convention. And I'm like, cool. I get up there, and here's this guy. He'd done this Savage Dragon backup, which I thought was fucking incredible. And I get up there, and his table's just full of this incredible fucking art. And I'm like, Mark, what are you doing, dude? I was like, what is next? Like, what is your Savage Dragon? Like, what's in your head? And he's like, nothing. He's like, I'm just getting rid of this shit, and then I'm probably done. And I was like, what? I'm like, God damn, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, bro, I mean, do what you got to do. I said, but like, you should do something. I said, because you're like fucking really talented, man. And you're like, I don't know, maybe I will. I don't know, whatever.
And then Rich walks in.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. And so like for Rich, like, so like Mark had talked about Rich a lot. And, like, I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll get this Johnny Raygun thing and Sergeant Werewolf as well. Cool. And I read those, and both of those were just filled with that Savage Dragon fun. Both of them were filled with kind of that, like, wacky, cartoony, but just, like, really entertaining, but, like, adult and, like, gory. And I was like, man, this guy, Rich knows what the fuck he's doing. Like, he can make a good-ass comic. And then, like, when I learned that you two were making this comic together, I was like, oh, dude, this shit's going to be a home run. like no matter what. And so when I finally got to read issue 1, like yesterday, I was just like, God damn, dude, this is truly a nice fucking product. This is a good comic. People who just, and I say that because, like, I criticized Radiant Black because it felt like it was written for TV. Like, I could feel like this guy wanted this to be converted to a Netflix live action series.
There was a lot of talking heads, and the threat that it uses to introduce the main character's abilities was had no stakes. Is basically my problem with it. And another series crossover. I was like, ugh, this feels like this was meant for TV. I, on the other hand, thought that was pretty good, but I can understand why you wouldn't like it, Raven.
Donny Cates, sorry, baby. You didn't do it. But, like, the thing is that, like, what I mean is when I read a comic, I want it to take advantage of the medium, and I feel like Gods of Brutality is a comic, man.
Indeed.
It fires on all cylinders. It's got that unlimited budget. And
it's definitely written for comics.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful.
That's definitely one of the things. I mean, because we have that Savage Dragon mentality in our DNA. Like, I don't care if this is ever. I mean, it'd be awesome if it was a cartoon or a movie, whatever. But ultimately, I just want to do a kick-ass comic, and like you said, it's unlimited budget, and I've got a dude who will draw anything. So like, pretty much. I mean,
he's gonna ask us to draw feet.
we'll definitely have to have like a feet issue where there's just like these foot fetish dudes in hell that are all in leather except for their feet. And Mark, get on that. Let's go. On some character.
I gotta learn how to draw feet first.
Bunch of guys that look like the original Beast from X-Men.
Right. Exactly. All ladies.
That's the greatest thing I think about this. Well, not the greatest, but one of the great things about this comic is that your setting invites anything and everything, and it's not like, oh, this is too much. They're in hell, you know what I mean? Like, you can have demons, you can have pirates, you can have whatever you want, and it's not too much because the setting, invites it. You almost need to have over-the-top stuff. Like, one of my criticisms of Spawn is like, man, Spawn's in hell, and it's just boring. But you guys, like, looking at that splash and looking at the characters that you have in there, it's like, take advantage of like what you could do with a setting like hell and run with it. And it's awesome.
That's definitely so. Like with Johnny Raygun, the whole reason Matt and I were doing Johnny Raygun is because a long time ago I read a quote that is attributed to John Byrne, and it was something to the effect of like, they don't want me to do X-Men, so I'm going to do my own X, and so he did Next Men. And I've always thought that was genius. Like, if I'm not going to do my favorite characters for the big two, then I'm going to do my own versions with my own spin on. And Johnny Raygun was that love letter to Silver Age comics and Savage Dragon. And so I wanted to build a world, and same thing with Gods of Brutality. I wanted to build a world where I could do anything, like anything that a lot of times I'll write something in a script and I can just feel Mark going, that's not logical.
Trying to figure it out, yeah.
Like that, he's trying to figure out like the science behind it, like the Lava Queen that's going to end up in issue 4. Like, we were going back and forth on the character design, and I was drawing her with hair, and I sent him a message. I'm like, I know I can hear you right now. You saying like, why does she have hair? Won't that burn up? And I'm like, just fucking do it. Like it doesn't matter.
It's pumice.
Right. It could be made out of.
I was definitely typing that message to you before you sent it.
Just fucking do it.
Just do it. It doesn't need to be logical.
That's what I'm learning. Nothing has to make sense.
Nah, dude, rule of cool. As long as it's cool, don't fucking worry about it.
right?
So when does Gods of Brutality come out in stores, and how do people order that? I mean, I think it's up in previews. It came up this month, right, or last month?
Yeah, it's in previews right now. Previews and Lunar. If you guys if comic shops are using Lunar distribution, it's in either of those. It'll be out in July, and we have like a huge rollout for number ones from Black Caravan in July. We've got my partner Joe Schmalke's book, We Don't Kill Spiders, which he did everything on, wrote it, drew it. I think the only thing he didn't do was letter it. And then the sequel to Phantom Starkiller, Draco Knuckle Dust, is going to be out in July too. So it's like we have 3 huge number ones launching. It's going to be really, really.
Rich, that's so awesome. I mean, you've always been a hustler. You know, I've always like seen you at conventions, always have a new project, or there was like Johnny Raygun. I know you're working with Kira, the alien jungle girl with Craig Russo, is a crazy talent. Always doing like variant covers and stuff like that. But man, I'm so proud of like the success that you've had. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty awesome. I mean, I didn't realize until like I think it was like a month ago or maybe less that imprint was that you were co-publisher or co-owner of that imprint, of the Black Caravan imprint. So, the success that you're seeing with that is pretty awesome, and it seems like it's finally, you know, it's really paying off for you. Like after a lot of years, you know, in the business and working hard.
Thanks, man. I appreciate.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was really nice that I could just kind of slip in there with very little effort.
It's all who you know, right?
To ride those coattails.
So there's only one question that matters to me. Will it be available digitally when it comes out?
Not immediately, no. The Scout is working on their digital distribution game. I know that they have stuff through Comixology and a couple other digital formats. But I don't think like on launch day it's going to be available digitally. I know they're still working out how all that stuff works on their end, and it's, you know, Scout's growing super fast. You know, besides Black Caravan, they've launched a couple other imprints, and a toy lot, like a toy company.
What?
And yeah, there's going to be Gods of Brutality toys eventually.
It out.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Yeah, we're going balls to the wall, just as fast as we can with as much shit as we can. It's awesome to be part of it. But like the digital thing is kind of unfortunately a victim of the super fast growing success, because you know, we're all focused in so many different places. It's hard to keep up with all those places. And so I think digital is one that they're working on. It's just not keeping up necessarily with everything.
All right.
But
Good.
doesn't mean
We'll have to send them to you, Jim.
Yeah,
I will have to figure out a way to get my hands on them then.
I will definitely send you PDFs just to keep you in the loop, at least until.
It seems like a huge market, though. I mean, for a comic book company, like they need to tap into that. You know, especially if comics are your bread and butter. You know, like.
Well, they just launched. So James Hake, the president of Scout, just launched. This is another kind of subsidiary. It's not really a subsidiary of Scout, but it's running along the same lines of Scout. It's a thing called Comic Tag, and it's basically a digital download, but we wanted to have some sort of collector thing with it. So it's kind of like trading cards. So you would buy like this little, it's about the size of a credit. And on the inside is a digital download for it, but there's like exclusive covers to these, kind of like trading cards. Again, it's kind of to bring the collectability to the digital market. So he's working on that stuff right now, and I think there's some of those available. I'm not 100% because I'm not involved with that part. I don't know a lot of it. I would be interested to get Jim's opinion on those.
How do I be delicate about this? the whole reason for me anyway, the whole reason we got into digital as our primary is to get away from the collectability. It's not something I think the average digital reader wants or needs.
Sure.
Just sell me the comic. That's literally as easy as it is.
You know what? You can throw away that little card after you digitally download it.
I'll take it. Send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll put it in a pile.
Right.
Do we have, Rich, do we have any news to share about covers, or are we not sharing that yet?
Oh, I don't think I'm supposed to talk about.
I can cut anything out.
We won't.
Yeah.
Then. We can tell them off mic.
I can tell you off mic.
Ooh, I love teasing the listeners.
But
Fuck
you guys,
listeners.
But I will say this though. One of the pinups that we're going to be having was we're
Yes.
getting D-Fish to do one for us,
Yes.
Ooh.
and she sent me a layout of what she's got planned, and it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Like I almost quit the book. I was like, it's D's book now.
You guys
He
are
is
doing
very
good on covers,
good.
though.
Yeah, D's great, and there's this guy that does these web comics too that should be doing one for. It's like Ravens.
Yeah.
Something.
I hear he's supposed to do one.
Yeah, he said he was going to do one.
Guy's a slacker.
He doesn't answer messages
Hard to
very
get a
often.
hold of him.
Yeah. I wish I had his phone number or something.
Think
Not really quiet over there.
the secret to it is
Pizza.
that now that I have gotten rid of the huge albatross that was around my neck,
Yeah.
you boys have all my attention. I promise you. I'm going to deliver. My goal is to make D's piece look like shit.
That,
Good luck.
Whoa.
that is, wow. Bold statement right there. I like it.
And check it out. Check it out. I'm going to go on record right now.
Ooh.
Not worried about it. I got it.
That would be good.
I
Yeah,
Better
cannot.
not be bullshitting.
It's going to be great, whatever you do.
It is.
Yeah. I
I'll
just
be the
honestly,
judge of that.
sorry, like legit, like didn't want
No, I get
to.
it.
I didn't want to like shit a little thing out quick. I didn't want to Frank Cho you guys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Damn.
You'll
Because
never
the
live it
thing is-
down.
I mean, sorry, but you know what we do in life echoes in eternity. But
That's
basically,
really nice. Did you just come up with that?
off the top of my Roman helmet,
Like,
like,
really profound.
thank you. I basically just had like, if I had done something, it would have been shitty. And like, I really, like I said, I've been watching this baby grow from the primordial ooze to like the beautiful, like fucking hell warrior that it is now. And I just didn't want to fucking phone it in, guys. I just really wanted to deliver. And so, yeah, my dance card's clearing up, and I'm going to blow your fucking balls off in the next few weeks.
Well, I
Awesome.
think I can speak for both of us when I say thank you for not sending us your shitty art.
That's true. That's,
Oh, I refuse. I got a rule. Like, never put shitty art out because you got to live with it.
yeah. See, Mark? This is what I'm talking about. Mark and I had this conversation. He's like, here's a list of guys I'd love to have do pinups for us. And I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Shit, shit.
Okay, all right, but hear me out. What would you rather have in the back of a book? Like some cool art that kind of sucks? Or
I would-
like an ad?
I would rather have blank pages
Oh,
or like my butthole printed on there. I hate. I've had one piece that I absolutely regret ever printing in a book, and I won't say who did it or what it was.
like Johnny Raygun Mummy.
Well, that was the second piece that wasn't great, but it kept going back to you anyway. He's like, "Hey, I want to be Mike Mignola," and I'm like, "That's not what I signed up for." But
Also, it wasn't very good.
every time I look at that book, I'm like, I can't believe I printed that pinup in the back of that book, and I'm so angry about it still.
Yeah.
And I never want to do that again.
Nope. You got to always put your best foot forward because whatever the fuck you put out there could be like what somebody, how their exposure is to you.
Right.
So,
Like, oh, yeah, shitty.
one of my favorite parts about going through all the retro Savage Dragon issues is just seeing all the janky ass jank pinups.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the experience. Don't you want to be part of that experience?
So here's the other thing I look at. And it's kind of the same way I approach. I know Raven's not a big Marvel movie fan, but the way that I look at these movies, any movie at this point, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, whatever, if you don't like this one, in 5 years there's going to be another one. So Marvel and DC are going to just keep pumping this shit out forever, right?
Yes.
With Gods of Brutality, I have no idea how many issues we're actually going to get, and I want every single one of them to be a fucking dime. And because we're only putting out 4 a year, I always feel like we have time to invest the best that we can into all these, and that's kind of that goes across the board for Black Caravan. I personally design each book for the most part. Because I want even the design to be nice on each book. Just because I want anything that has my name on it, I want it to have at least a certain level. And so that I totally get it, because I was those janky pinups in Savage Dragon. I totally get it. But
my first pinup was in Super Patriot. That thing looks like shit.
I like it.
But it was, Robert Kirkman had no reason to publish anything that I drew, but it was real nice to see it in there, and it felt really good. But
Rich, you have I'm not saying they're janky at all. I'm saying, Rich, you have a ton of pinups and a bunch of early Image stuff. Whether it was you're in Kirkman book, right? Or
Invincible,
no? You're in Invincible.
Invincible,
Agent, I think, too.
number 11.
You were in Fear Agent. Tom Scholey's book. What was that one based on the
something
video game?
Oh shit!
The Freedom
Force. Yeah, you did the Wood God guy.
Yep. Yeah. We did.
Savage
basically
Dragon, of course.
That's all really thanks to Matt Talbot, because before I met Matt, I had no idea you could just reach out to these creators and be like, hey, I've got a pinup that I did. Would you print it? And Matt had already done at least one pinup for Savage Dragon when I had met him. And
was this the that Avengers one?
No, this was before that. So, or he might have had that one too, but it was the the old Powers of Spider-Man kind of thing, but it was the Powers of Dragon.
Oh, right.
I can't remember what issue that was in, but that was one of the first things that I saw from Matt, which
issue 68.
Yeah, Matt and I live in the same town. Matt lives 3 blocks from me, and we never get to see each other anymore. But when I first met him was at a local comic shop, and he was doing a how to color digital thing, and nobody was there. And so I walked in with my family, and I was like, oh, I want to meet this guy. And then I look, he's got pinups and stuff, and oh, he likes Savage Dragon. And then we started talking about Kirby, and he's like, he had a backpack with him that had all these Kirby collectors in him. I don't know why he was just carrying them around, but he was. And I'm like, what? He probably. Yeah. So I'm like, my son's middle name is Kirby. I love Kirby. And we just kind of hit it off. But he really was the one who kind of let me know, hey, you can reach out to these guys. And sometimes they respond and sometimes they don't. So he and I really took advantage of that and kind of just gunshots, spread everywhere, as many different places as we could. And a lot of times it worked out, and we had some failures too. There's a whole story about Fear Agent that I can't really get into over here because I'll get angry. But
the Fear Agent.
Yes, Tales for the Fear Agent.
That story also involves somebody on the toilet.
Yes,
that was with the shark, right?
The
sewer shark.
The
toilet shark.
Characters on toilets that nobody wants to publish.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know. I don't get it. But you know what? I get it.
By the way, I do have some notes on the script for Gods of Brutality 4.
More toilet scenes, or
Concerning the toilet scene I didn't like.
damn it.
Hill toilets.
But yeah, so, like we kind of shot everywhere, just trying to get a little bit of exposure, because I don't even think we got comps or anything. But we were just happy to be in book. So I get the idea of putting kind of unknown talent in a book. I just want to make sure that we've got a lot of
suck. So you have an ashcan that's available right now. I know that I have a copy, but you can get that right now. Like for listeners that want a sneak peek, I think it's like $5 for like I guess would you call it an ashcan? It's more like a preview comic.
Yeah, we called it a demo. It's the Scout calls it an ashcan, but yeah, it's like 8 pages maybe, and it's a little preview. It's very different though than for anybody that's seen it. We really wanted to treat it kind of like an old zine or something. So we colored it totally different than what the final version is going to be. And actually, after I colored it that way, I was kind of considering like, oh, maybe the whole book should be this way, because it was kind of cool. But Mark's stuff is so beautiful and like that full color. I didn't want to screw Mark out of that, having a book that looked really, really good.
Yeah, I need some cool coloring to hide a lot of my mistakes.
Guys, listeners, like, he's full of shit, dude. Like, his art is so good, and he's like the hardest motherfucker on his own self.
Yes,
Right. Well, I'm ready. You know, if somebody doesn't like my art, well, guess what? Nobody hates it more than me.
I'm just saying, like, please, if you're listening to this, like, that's self-appreciating humor. Like, he's joking. Like, this work kicks your fucking balls so hard they shoot out of your throat and replace your eyes.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, some of it's all right.
It's TNT, dude.
Issue 2 is going to be a lot better, though. And then issue 3 is going to be better. And then hopefully issue 4 is better.
Yeah, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that the creative team is excited. You want to hear that they feel like they're building. And like, Rich, the scene where you guys, like Craig was like, oh, this is a slog. Bro,
Yeah.
That scene to me was cherry on top.
Aw.
Because here's the thing, everything is fucking fantastic, but then when I finished it, I was like, oh shit, but what's that referring to? Oh,
Right.
Yeah, we really tried to with that intro. There's a lot of stuff going on there that it's not going to pay off for very long, but there are things in there that I'm hoping once you get to the end and you reread like the end, like 10 volumes from now, and you reread that first scene, that you're like, oh shit, that was there the entire time.
Yeah.
I can tell. What's funny is I know when I'm reading one of those scenes, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be crazy in a bit.
Nice.
It's good, dude. It's good.
Yeah, and when I was referring to slog, I was like, in my head, I'm like, if I turn the page and there's more talking heads, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, what's going on? It's just enough that you turn that page and you're just like, oh shit! Like, you know, there's just that double page splash, which I won't spoil.
Yeah, it hits it right the right moment there, huh?
Yeah, you get up the top of that hill and the roller coaster just dives down, and then it's nonstop to the end, and then you're left like, oh man, what's next? It's like, you know, what's that?
That's really what I was hoping for, is to kind of give people a sense of, oh, this is a very reality-based... This is the same comic that we've seen a million times. Like, we're going to see a bunch of guys talking, blah, 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 metal stuff, and then, boom, the explosion right in your face. Like, ooh, shit, I came. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to. That was my fault.
It's not premature. I always tell people, listen, that's not premature. That's like bonus. We call that the opening salvo.
I like that.
It tricks like 50% of them.
Guys,
50% of them believe it. Ooh, impressive. Yeah, just Give me a minute. How about I work on you a minute?
What are we even talking about right now? I don't
Comics,
understand. Where am
Craig.
I?
Comics.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, if anything we need to get out of this, I need like a Gods of Brutality concert T-shirt. Can we get one of those?
Yeah,
Mark
they should be coming.
Yeah, Mark has worked on that. That's another. So, I guess this is kind of something that nobody knows yet. So this is kind of an exclusive for this. Is our plan is at least for the week, maybe 2 weeks. We haven't decided on a timeline yet. That Gods launches that week, and at least into the following week, we're gonna have an exclusive T-shirt that's only available for that short period. And then once it's gone, it's never going to be printed again, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, we were thinking about so Mark's got a front done to it. We just have to put together. Did you do the tour part yet?
No, not yet.
So we got to do like a back tour, like fake tour list of Gods of Brutality. And Mark and I had talked
It's going to
about
be all the cities that have our favorite comic shops. I think is that what we
right,
said?
exactly.
Everyone who's rich Woodall friendly.
Very cool.
Blue Hen Comics, I can see on the back.
Exactly. We get Captain Blue Hen and Double Midnight and Cards Comics and Collectibles and Jetpack, and Merrimack Comics and all that. Be awesome. But we also talked about like having actual music and having like tribute bands, but that's a little further in the future. I think we gotta
Get Dale Killen.
Yeah, I want the book to come out first. Hopefully somebody likes it.
Exactly. There is a Spotify playlist for Gods of Brutality if anybody's interested.
No. Are you
Worked
serious?
really hard on it.
Yeah, we both contributed. So there's Mark music and then there's my music, and it's kind of stuff that inspired the book.
Did you put Pit Crew on there?
No.
A Pit Crew?
No, there's no Pit Crew. I'm sorry.
Is Pit Crew on Spotify? Because I want to check that.
I
It's
can't
Dale
imagine that it
Killen's
is.
band.
Any Spice Girls?
It's
No.
mostly- it's songs inspired by the Spice World movie.
Thank you. Good enough. I'll take it.
Exactly.
Winger.
A bunch of wingers. Like half, at least 2 albums.
Some Nelson. It's cool.
Meatloaf.
No, there's not. I had to double.
I can dig Meatloaf. I'm all right with Meatloaf.
He sang about Out of Hell.
Yeah. His albums were pretty metal.
I will say that when Mark sent me his list, I was like, I've never heard of any of these bands.
I'm to start listening.
But they were awesome. Mark, who did you design the main character after? Who did you design Nick after?
He was a little bit of Glenn Danzig.
Oh, yeah.
And like his outfit was inspired by Manowar.
Yes. Yeah.
Should be right up the alley for a comic like this.
Totally.
And I ask, with your grand schemes, are you planning to do like an Ed Piskor and like fucking name drop like Gene Simmons and then send him an issue and hope he puts like a picture on Instagram of him reading it or something?
I hope not.
Not Gene, but you know, fucking Glenn.
Well, Danzig's a huge comic fan. For sure.
With this person who is doing a secret cover for us, it is possible that Danzig might.
What a tease!
That's about
There you
all.
go.
That's about all I can tease out.
Did you say you guys are talking about doing variants? Is that what like you're doing a bunch of variants for each issue or issue one or?
Yeah,
You have one at least that's known for, like, you buy 10, right? There's like the alternate Mark cover.
yeah. There's a 1 in 10 right now. Mark has done, I think, probably 5 covers for issue 1.
Yeah, 5 or 6, yeah.
We just had a thing where some of them might not be used, but they will not go unused. They'll definitely at the very least be in a trade, if not used in some other way down the road. But yeah, there's at least 4 or 5 for the first issue, and we keep having stores come in. We've got a couple other stores that are Joe Schmalke is going to be doing a cover for us, and we've got a couple others that are coming in. So it's going to be
the covers that Joe's been doing lately have been so good.
Yeah, he's
just the design of them just looks so awesome. I can't wait to see what he does with this. It's probably going to look something like like those old posters. He's been doing those lately for was it Cherry Blackbird? Is that what it's called?
Cherry Blackbird, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff looks awesome.
Yeah, he's really good, and it's going to be. I'm excited to see what he comes up with.
Ooh. This is exciting. July will be here before we know it. I can't believe we're already heading into the summer.
Wow, it's crazy.
And we're gonna start seeing this in full color and print in our hands. And one thing I do enjoy like Savage Dragon, it's one thing to see it digitally, but I feel like when I have it in my hands, the colors just pop in print. And so I'm really stoked to have a copy of this in my hands to see what the colors look like, because they
me
look
too.
Pretty vibrant digitally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's
so
a
cool
sort of a thing, but when the work is reduced, it gets sharper. And so there's a weird effect where, for some reason, to me, shit looks better in print than it does on a screen.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm also going to try to convince Mark to let us do an artist edition of Gods of Brutality. I don't know if he'll. I'm going to
Maybe
keep
a digest
in black
size.
and white.
We'll do a digest size.
Yeah,
Just nice.
11 by 17, black and white. Strip it down. It'll be beautiful.
We'll reduce it down to those comics that you get with Bazooka Joe.
Just unfold it on wax paper.
It'll look great.
Those little yeah.
That'll be awesome. So cool. I mean, do you have anything else you guys want to talk about this comic coming out that's related, or do you, Rich, have any other projects kind of in the pipeline you want to shout out?
Yeah, who are the Swamp Dogs? That's my question.
What's that?
I can't talk about the Swamp. The Swamp Dogs are a top secret project that's coming out in
Who are
October.
the Swamp Dogs?
Woo!
Dogs out?
Yeah, that's another Black Caravan title that can't. That one, the creative team wanted to do this mystery build up to their book being launched, and so it's the first time we've tried to do it. I don't know how successful we are at it, but we're putting out little teaser images every week. I sent a bunch of comic shops bookmarks. We printed up bookmarks saying who are the Swamp Dogs. So we're kind of trying to do little different things with that and kind of see what works, and if it works, maybe we'll try it again with another title, or take whatever we learn from it and on.
What does the convention season look like to you guys this year? Are you seeing things opening up with people getting vaccinated, or are things still kind of limping along? Are you planning on doing any kind of conventions to promote, or?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got a couple local ones that I've signed up for starting. I think either next month. I think next month is the first one, and it's a little small local thing. But Free Comic Book Day in August, and I know Baltimore. I'm planning on going to. There's a Rhode Island show I think I'm signed up for. So
when's Baltimore?
Baltimore's going to be October too.
Wait, you said you got a Rhode Island con you're going to?
Yep. What is it? Rhode Island Comic Con.
You could hear both of the boys perk up as you were in their neck of the woods.
Yeah, Rhode Island Comic Con. I want to say that's either September or November. It's in the fall sometime. And then there's a Bangor, Maine comic convention.
So I'm linking you one that I'd want you to look at some
terrific.
point.
Yeah, I've never been to that one.
Terrificon is awesome. It is a true Comic Con. Raven can attest.
Awesome. Yeah, it's like, and it's in a casino, so it feels like the casino looks like the goddamn Avengers headquarters. So it's like you're in fucking Avengers HQ in a Comic Con. It's
That's
crazy
awesome.
as shit.
I'll definitely check that out.
I mean, it's in July, so it might be a little late, but
Sure.
I'd send that link your way.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, Mark,
I have nothing planned.
Is the Erie Comic Con still kind of coming back, or is that kind of done with COVID for a while?
No, they didn't have one this year. They did it virtually. Otherwise, I would have had Raven up here.
I gotta make it up there next time they do that.
Because we need to get those pizza logs, dude.
Bro, let me tell you, if you never had an Erie pizza log, your shit just ain't been lived. It's fantastic. It's incredible.
that sounds a bit. Describe a pizza log. I mean, I've got something in my head, but what is that?
It's like a pizza egg roll.
Oh,
That's
nice.
pretty much all it is. It's just an egg roll with pepperoni, cheese, and some marinara sauce.
And as simple as that sounds, it tastes fantastic.
That sounds.
Pretty good.
I'm just gonna go up there to hit up the Tim Hortons.
Yeah, we have plenty of those.
Bastard.
No, I have nothing planned. I haven't gone to shows in a long time. I used to go to Pittsburgh comic conventions all the time, but it got to the point where all I was selling was fan art, and I felt like such a fraud. So I just stopped going. But now that we have a book, maybe I'll do shows again.
I mean,
To be fair,
yeah.
well, I was just sorry, Jim. To be fair, the posters that he's talking about are fucking works of art.
Yeah, they.
I was
I
gonna.
was just blown away, dude. Jim.
I was gonna say, isn't fan art kind of the bread and butter of this whole deal?
Oh,
It is, but I don't like doing it. I feel gross.
I see.
I get it. It's not fun to not have your own thing, to not have your own component. Yeah.
So I want to move away from that, and we'll promote God's Brutality instead. So who knows? Maybe Rich and I will show up in a town near you.
Oh, I like
stuff. You can meet us and tell us how great our book is, and the only thing that we'll ask for in return is some kind of financial compensation.
Or pictures of your feet.
Right. Well, wait.
So,
Mark, you need to put a wrestling promo that's very similar to that for it. What you just said, only as a wrestler.
I already forgot what I said.
You're in your area, coming to a town near you.
Oh, that's right.
so unless Raven or Jim, you have anything you want to add, I want to wrap this up with something a little different. You guys don't mind?
Yeah, Jim's gonna have a lot of editing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, we never edit it.
You should consider editing this one. It's
So-
it's 5 hours long now?
Give or take. Before we wrap this up, I have a few questions for Mr. Mark Welser. So we already did this with Rich Woodall. So Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. I got a bunch of quick questions. Don't take much time thinking about it. Just whatever comes to the top of your head, you answer. I'm going to fire them off. You answer. If you get stuck, we'll just move on or whatever. You down to play?
Sure.
Okay. Real quick. Favorite issue of Savage Dragon? If you don't know the number, describe it.
Favorite issue? I think probably 50 is
Nice.
a big one for me. There was a lot of stuff. There was like the culmination of a lot of different storylines. There was so much B stories happening there. A lot of backup stories that I really liked. And Eric's art was killer.
It was like, how the hell does he get out of this one?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. Best Vicious Circle character design.
Best character design. I like, this is, I'm going to probably go with Skullface. I don't know if that's my answer or not, but that's what I'm going with because it popped in my head. Skullface.
Good. Lamest Vicious Circle member.
Soundstorm.
Well, which one was that? The big ears?
Yeah. Or Melvin Mouse.
Best female character in Savage Dragon.
Best female character? Rapture.
Nice. Best spin-off book.
I'm going to probably go with Deadly Duo.
Which series?
The first one, yeah.
Nice. Worst era of Savage Dragon.
Probably the family era.
What?
Correct choice.
Not a fan of Glum.
Glum's all right. I was like a lot of people. I didn't love Smasher.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I'm a Rapture guy. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was great.
She just got tons of personality. It's fun.
Street gal.
And that was also coming off of like the God World stuff and a lot of the SOS things, and it was every month was something crazy. And then the family stuff, I get it, but it slowed down a little
Toned
bit
it
too
down.
much for me.
Yeah. Don't have to explain. We get it.
Okay.
Rex Dexter or Captain Tootsie?
Rex Dexter.
Any reason why?
No.
Gotcha.
You just told me I didn't have to have a reason.
All right, I lied. You do. No, I'm just kidding.
Rex Dexter because he's had more transformations, I guess. Captain Tootsie's fine. I feel like I don't really know him that much.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Your most unpopular opinion regarding Savage Dragon?
Unpopular opinion?
Yeah.
I don't like Vic Bridges' art.
Oh,
Nice,
it's pretty
right.
well. It's pretty okay in this Fin. You're in good company for that.
Okay, then I think
He has
Eric
another
Larson
one like ready to go.
smells-
What's that?
Eric Larson
Would-
smells bad.
I
Oh,
happen to think he smells great, but
we'll
I
we'll
don't know.
never get.
An unpopular opinion.
We'll never
I
get.
don't know if I have a negative thing that what is it most controversial opinion on Savage Dragon?
Or, unpopular opinion, something that you completely
Unpopular.
differ from everybody else on something. I mean, Vic Bridges' art is fine.
I guess.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot. It's quick, just making you think fast. It's to pick 4 figures for a new toy line. Which figures do you pick? Characters.
4 figures. I'm
The
going
last one.
Kill Cat, Kid Avengers. See, I like the Deadly Duo. I'm going Malcolm, and I'm going Star.
Ooh, nice.
Okay. Great choices.
No
Fab Four.
villains, I guess. There's
Kids don't want to.
each
They
other.
want to play with the good guys. Awesome. Well, thanks. That was fun.
Was it?
For Craig.
That was fun for me.
Okay.
I thought it was. Quick question. Plot twist. Both of you.
Oh.
Cast the leads of Gods of Brutality in a movie.
A live action? Because I've got the voice cast, I think, already in my head.
Do both if you've got it. Whatever.
I don't know who would play them. When I read it, I've got Nick Dillon is voiced by Jason Mantzoukas.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Hercules sounding like James Adomian doing his impression of Jesse Ventura. And honestly, Thor, I don't know who I got for Thor. I still don't feel I can't hear Thor's voice yet.
Rich.
I for Nick, I want to go to 80s Danzig and just throw him in there.
Mm-hmm.
For for Hercules, Robert Shaw. I know he's dead, but
Bring him back. He's in hell.
bring him back. Put him in Hercules' outfit, and then for Thor, shit, I had somebody like Mark and I talked about this a long time ago. Because when I write, I try to cast people's voices in my head, and shit, I can't remember who I had for Thor. Man, Thor sucks apparently, huh?
He's the one that I like to draw the least.
Oh, he's the one I like to draw the most, but I like drawing that beard. Shit, on the spot, I'll go with Gary Oldman, because Gary Oldman can play me.
Nice.
Yeah, Thor's hard.
Gotta be like some British dude. They always give him British accents or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even though he's totally Nordic.
For some reason.
Let's make him British.
Somebody's gonna read this book and their favorite character is gonna be Thor, and then they're gonna be like, "Why don't these guys care more about Thor?"
I gotta say
to cast him better in his movie.
I liked Thor. I liked the characterization on Thor.
Thor's great.
Did I hear a voice when I read his words? No.
I don't hear. I personally never hear voices when I read their words. It's usually just my voice.
Oh no!
You hear your own voice on every character?
Yeah,
really?
but I, it's acting.
Do you change your voice?
Yeah, it's gravelier, higher, lower. I don't hear actors.
Your head, you
yeah,
do your own voice high.
Look, it's just every character is like my voice, but pitched or modified to be the character.
I have never heard that in my life.
I don't.
You know what?
That's why I'm so bad.
That's
why I'm so bad at casting things, because I don't attribute actors to characters that I read read.
Yeah, a lot of people hear Jim Purcell's voice when they read comics.
Well, they will now.
It's a very common.
I guess it's not so much my voice; it's just I give them original voices.
Oh.
There you go.
Which tend to sound like
that
me
makes more sense.
because that's the voice that's in my head.
That makes a lot more sense.
It's not my
I just thought
voice,
Jim's
it's
reading.
the
He's
voice in
like,
my head that sounds exactly like me and has my mannerisms.
Well, that's Craig. I was interpreting the way you were. Like if there was Maxine and Malcolm, it'd be like, "Hi, Malcolm. Hi, Teapot. Hello, Fish Taco."
Well, it's probably
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Female characters are weirder though, because it isn't so much that they're high pitched like girls. It's, I guess I just read them as
Who's high pitched?
exactly. It doesn't really sound like that.
Do you guys have voices in your head for Dragon?
Classic Dragon.
Either.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Let's go through all of them.
Unimaginatively Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's total.
I told you it was basic. Don't judge
Basic, yes, that was the word I was
think the
looking
cartoon crept into my head too after a while. I don't know.
You got that Lucky Piquel in your brain, huh?
That, or it's like Eric, or it's not Eric's voice sometimes.
You told me that once, and I cannot hear Dragon as Eric, dude.
I can, because he talks like Eric writes Dragon like the way he talks a lot of times.
No, because a vocal thing that Eric does is he'll trail off the end of a word. He'll be like, if you're interviewing, he'll be like, are you talking to him? He'll be like, I just kind of drew Dragon, and then I was...
Hey, Overlord, we're gonna punch you in the face.
Like when I hear Dragon,
done.
when I hear Dragon, it sounds kind of like what's a line Dragon says?
It's Dragon time.
It's Dragon time. What the Jesus Christ? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Classic Dragon line right there.
It sounds better in my head.
I'm pregnant, Dragon, and the baby's yours.
Actually, okay. You know what?
You're under arrest.
There's actually is one character I do attribute a voice to, and that's Maxine. Actually, sounds like Lucy from the Peanuts cartoons.
What?
From I Love Lucy?
No. Peanuts, like Lucy.
What?
Exactly. Because she's got that cartoon mouth.
The cartoon?
Yeah, the cartoon Peanuts. Charlie Brown.
Which one?
Charlie Brown. Lucy.
Didn't like 12 different girls?
Oh, he said Lucy.
Kinda sound the same.
Does Lucy sound like a child?
Yeah.
Sounds like that. All right.
Well, no wonder you guys had that weird hang up over the braces and the socks. If that's how you hear Maxine's voice.
Wait, why are you throwing me into this? He said you guys.
You had it
Don't
too.
throw me into this.
You were
Yeah,
like,
but
braces
I'm
give me
not
weird
picturing her
feelings.
sounding like a Charlie Brown character.
Wah, 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 wah.
Rich, we should go.
can,
We should let
somebody
them fight this out. We don't want to get involved.
None of you understand how my
Too
brain
late. You're
works.
part of this.
Don't implicate us. We did not come on here to listen to you guys talk about your weird hang-ups about Lucy.
I thought that was
I
what
wanted you to say how nice we are and how funny we are.
I told you when this started that things would go places, as they do.
They certainly have. Oh, I think we ended at a good point.
Great.
So thanks for coming on, guys. It's always good to have guests, and especially people who are making comic books. I mean, that's why we're all here.
I would describe them as really like venerable finheads.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're big movers and shakers in the scene.
I don't think so.
I don't know about that, but we're trying.
Right.
That's all we can
we've
do.
been around a while, I guess. Is that?
Yeah, we're never gonna win best
Yeah,
new.
old people.
Guys, I just want to say this, like, fucking Brotherhood of the Fin has a character that represents a cult in the comic. Like, it's pretty. That's kind of.
Oh yeah, that plot line was a thing, wasn't it? Well, that was a long.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just saying, it's fucking kind of. Think about how many fans touch a book in that way. Not many.
True. That's
It's probably Gavin's fault. That sounds like something he would suggest.
Well, I loved
So
it.
he still signs everything BOTF, doesn't he, Gavin?
Yeah.
yes. He signed.
Does he?
He wrote a letter.
Really?
He wrote a letter to Gods of Brutality and signed it. That.
He did?
Yeah.
He's right
He
or
signed
die.
his checks BOTF?
Probably. It's his maybe it's his legal name.
Did anyone tell him that nobody does that anymore?
Gavin is a legion of one.
I don't know if I'd recognize his name if it didn't have BOTF after it.
Who is this Gavin guy? Imposter.
I mean, it's shorter than his real last name.
Hey man, he's holding it down. He's like that guy that, didn't sell out.
Yeah,
Mark Welser?
The rest of you are just.
Which guy is that?
The rest of you just got too old for it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Had to have a family.
Quitters.
Yeah. Yeah. Why did we have to have families instead of just
Real job.
thing a million comics like Gavin?
He's happier.
He Mark, go back to your
Well,
miserable life and finish up that page that you sent me earlier.
Yeah, I have to. It's all done except for that one panel.
I want to say I love Gavin Higginbotham. So if you're listening to Gavin, I
Yeah,
love
we
you,
all
man.
love him.
Oh wait, are we
We
still
love how much
recording?
Oh yeah. So this is going in.
What?
I
It's
love
going in. It's going in. Didn't
fan-
say it was off the record.
I love my family, and I would never give them up for a million comics.
My family will never listen to this.
Oh, that's true. I don't have
That's
anything
right.
more.
He's right.
Yeah, when you have accomplishments in comics, it's cool because like no matter how big you're popping off or failing or whatever, you're a failure in the eyes of your family.
Always.
That is absolutely.
He said true. It cut out, but he said true.
Yeah. That is absolutely true. I'm trying to think. When I told the kids about, so we have a cartoon deal for Electric Black, and when I told the kids, they're like, can we buy a new car? I'm like, well, there's no
Can we
money.
have dinner?
Like, They don't,
Call me when they're in Fortnite.
Exactly. Kids.
All right, I think we said it all, guys.
Bye.
Time to wrap this puppy up.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks again.
We appreciate it.
Have us on again. We'll do another 5-hour episode.
Globs of Cruelty in stores July.
July something.